Hello and welcome to this episode of Panavision and this episode of Superhero Ethics. This is probably going to go out on both of those feeds, and we are talking about The Witcher Season 2. The entire season is up, and today, myself, Matthew Fox, Paul Hoppy, and Ashley Coffin are all here to talk to you about episodes 1 and 2. We'll be coming to you with episodes about the whole season as we go through it over the next couple of days. But for now, we're really excited to get to talk to you about these episodes, and we'll get to all that right after this commercial break that we have no control over. Welcome back. My name is Matthew. I'm your host, and I'm joined, as I said, by Paul Hoppy and Ashley Coffin. How are you folks doing today?
Great. A little sick.
Yeah, little injured, but watched the first 2 episodes of Witcher last night, and I actually really liked them.
Nice.
Good.
And I don't even have any say substantive complaints. I don't know.
That's good. I'm shocked.
Right?
That does not give me hope for episodes 3 or 4 or 5, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I feel like that gives me hope. You didn't like the second episode or the first episode at all, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
The first season was rough.
We're
It was
already
rough
doing
going
better.
early on.
And I just have to say, this feels like it has been the greatest content week I have had in a long time. Like we're not going to spoil things for you people who haven't seen anything, but like just the last episode of Hawkeye was so good. I saw Spider-Man last night at stupid o'clock, but it was just so much better than all the things I'd feared. I came out with a huge grin on my face, came home, watched 2 episodes of The Witcher because I'm not good at sleeping. And this has been really good. Next, in a couple days, we get new Star Wars coming out, new The Matrix coming out. Christmas is coming. I know that's a fun thing too, but it feels like just content is so good right now.
Yeah, I'm just so busy now.
Yeah,
I watched
so
Knight
busy.
Rider.
Okay, that's one I haven't seen.
The first 3 episodes on. You didn't see Knight Rider?
Like old
Like
Knight Rider?
in the 80s? Yes.
I
Yeah,
saw
that was
a
the
little
best.
bit of it. I saw.
Oh.
Well, a new resource that I've untouched. There's a great podcast called I think you should get the name of it right. The Totally Awesome 80s podcast.
Okay.
And the folks from there, they were guests of mine on the Thor podcast that you both have done with me, or that actually you have done, Paul. You and I need to schedule. And they want to come back and do some content with me on some kind of the 80s revival stuff. So I should see if I can get them on. Because I think I saw 1 or 2 episodes of Knight Rider, but that was about it.
Wow, I had the car that you'd press the license plate or something, and it would say things in Kit's voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was
all right, but the thing we're watching today is The Witcher. So yeah, general thoughts. What do you guys think so far?
Monster's gonna monster.
True that. Yeah. It felt as D&D as could be to me, but in a good way. And it felt like not so much with Yennefer, but it felt like the other 2 main characters were very sort of realized in a way, and then Yennefer's in a very different situation, but I kind of like the way that's going. I think we'll see, but this also gave me that sort of feeling of early MCU where a bunch of things were connected and you didn't necessarily expect them to be connected. I've watched the animated movie, I think Nightmare of the Wolf or something for The Witcher. And light spoilers, it is connected very much, especially to episode 2 of this series. The protagonist is Vesemir.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
That's cool.
The sort of father figure of the Witchers.
Yeah, and it's years earlier, and he's younger, and he's a kind of young, hotshot, swashbuckling kind of Witcher. And I enjoyed the movie. There were things that they did that I was so I have complaints about that one. I won't get into that, but just I feel like it fits in really well with what they're doing in this season. I think it was a great thing to release between seasons 1 and 2. I recommend that people check it out if you're interested in, sort of the backstory of Kaer Morhen and sort of what happened, how they ended up being sort of who they are now.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah, 'cause I feel like that was one of the things I was enjoying most about these 2 episodes is, first of all, it all feels so much more straightforward, and
Yes.
we'll probably get some kind of time hijinks, but we have 2 storylines. We're really focusing on our two main characters, one of whom's picked up a sort of side main character, in terms of Geralt and Cirilla, and then the other story is Yennefer, who's also picked up a side character as well, with Fringilla. And yeah, the stories feel more straightforward. I clearly understand where they're going. They're still kind of clearly episodic, but they both feel like they are ongoing story arcs. And in the second episode, especially, like I just loved getting to spend time with the Witchers. I thought that was such a great little bit of expanding the world, but in a way that didn't feel like it was taking a break from the plot. It was still very much connected to, like, there was a great story that was happening, but also just a great time to see what Witcher life is like.
Yeah. It was cool. I feel like they stepped up the sets and the effects. Like everything looked really good. I mean, I would like to know how they caught Yennefer though, because I remember she was all the way up on top of that hill.
Yeah, so I was gonna say we can start with either the Geralt storyline or the Yennefer one. Shall we start with Yennefer's?
Yeah, because it's a little shorter.
Okay. It's a little simpler, right?
Yeah, the way the battle ended in the last season and what happens now, like a lot of characters who I was pretty sure were dead are not dead, and Yennefer was way up on the hill doing fire magic, and then she's down on the hill getting captured, and I kind of felt like maybe they didn't know what happened at the end of the last battle and went, let's just start it over, because it did not seem connected.
Hand up in the back. Isn't one of them bad? Didn't one of them betray the other ones at the end? One of the wizards killed another one of the wizards, and I could not remember which one it was. Right.
And I have no idea.
Yeah, no,
I'm like, it's one of the guys with the black hair, and I'm like, shit, they all have black hair.
Yeah, no, I think that one was killed. I don't think that one was part of what was happening here.
Oh, so someone betrayed someone, and then now they're dead anyway?
Yeah, I think it was, one of the wizards betrayed the whole bunch of wizards who were fighting against Nilfgaard, and that was the one who like helped get one of the peasants who were there fighting to like basically blow up their own sort of ammo dump. And was part of why like their sort of fortifications were falling apart. But I think Yennefer killed that person. But either way, like I don't think that person was one of the ones who was here now.
Okay, I'd have to look it up because I do remember it was out on the field.
Right.
Yeah.
I was definitely not clear on like who are all these people again. Like I know the Witchers better than I know the.
And that's the only one I remember is Tassia.
Right.
Yeah.
Chick from Downton Abbey. That's what I see.
Who had a couple of quotes that raised some eyebrows that I'll definitely get into.
I like when she went all torture on that guy. I hate that guy. What's his name? What's his?
I don't like that guy.
That guy. Cheekbones.
Yeah, the guy who claims himself the white flame, the king of Nilfgaard.
Emery?
No, this guy, that isn't the White Flame the leader of Elfgard, and this guy, Nilfgaard.
This guy is the usurper.
Right.
Yeah. Guys, we don't know what we're talking about.
We're like, the plot's so much more straightforward. We still don't know what's going on. But,
figure it out.
I mean, I think I would have needed to do a more recent, more thorough rewatch of season 1. And
I swear I watched it twice.
It's like, even though I don't know exactly who that guy is and how they were, I think he's more the leader of that section of the army, right? And then there's somebody who's actually at the top.
Right.
He's not that guy. I believe that's my impression.
So.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think so. Because otherwise, like, what? Like, she's interrogating him to get information about something else, I think, right? About other stuff.
Okay, I think you're
It's
correct.
not like, I've captured your leader and now you're done or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, but it does feel like they don't have those time hijinks that in season 1 felt like, I'm sure they had some very deliberate thing they were trying to do with it. It didn't work for me. You know, like it did. And like, we can have flashbacks and stuff. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But like having this just deliberately obtuse timeline is really awkward. And for a moment I thought, I'm like, oh my goodness, are they going back and they're like now showing like Geralt and Yennefer like actually had all this time together that we didn't see.
I thought we were going to get to see the stuff that we didn't see. I'm like, whoa, she's preggers. Wait a minute, what's happening?
Yeah, when she was preggers, I was like, oh, okay, this is some dream sequence, and you know.
Which I really didn't get that whole scene in the cabin at all. I watched it twice, and I still didn't get what that chick was trying to tell everybody. You guys...
You mean Baba Yaga?
Yeah, Baba Yaga. What the hell was that about?
Yeah. We'll get to that. The Niktuku are definitely a thing that should be discussed. It's a Vampire the Masquerade reference. Baba Yaga.
Verena?
Oh, okay, yeah. Deep cut.
Yeah, so I just want to mention two things that were said by the head of Witcher Hogwarts.
Right.
Tassia.
Thank you. So at one point, they're talking about Yennefer and how they worry that Yennefer has kind of gone too far with this, like, burn everything down.
Oh, yeah.
And she says the words, "She has abandoned all rules of chaos."
I have that in my notes. That's in my notes.
And I'm like,
like,
girl, you
rules of
told her to
chaos.
do it. You told her to do it.
But also, like,
Right?
rules of chaos.
Like, I think what she means there is this whole idea of, like, embracing chaos but controlling chaos. Like
Right.
if the I don't think it's from this, but there's another kind of, like, magic is about, you know, chaos, but you can control it. Where it talked about, like, surfing the wave was the metaphor that they used, you know, and that, like, the wave's gonna be crazy, but you're still on top of it and in some control. And I guess that's what they're going for, but that phrasing was just not something I could go for.
I was like, I thought she was like, she's violating the Feigenbaum constants. No? Okay, it's chaos math. Never mind. But
I just have in my notes, Wizard World is in chaos. So we're all
Yeah.
talking about the same thing.
yeah.
I also thought, and granted,
That
this
line
one I think they meant to be ironic because of what she does later in the episode, but at one point she says early in the episode, "It's not in my nature to be cruel."
Right.
Which, she then goes on to torture the guy, and I think she means, like, so this torture is the thing I will do but, like, she was really cruel to a bunch of young girls back in
Yeah.
season
Right.
1.
She used to call Yennefer Pigface or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
I think what she's trying to say is that it's not in her nature. It's simply a tool she employs to get what she wants or what she thinks is needed.
Or make you stronger.
It does ring a little hollow, you know. I also just wanted to double down on Ashley what you were saying. Like, the sets do look better. I think, especially to me, the elves looked better.
Yeah,
the
they look like
in
elves.
season 1 looks like
Because that was
a poor cosplay. Now
that
I'm like,
was
you look
that
like a
same
good
guy.
cosplay. Yeah, that was Phil Evandrel.
Okay.
Who
Yeah.
might show up in the animation also.
Oh.
Nice.
So
Yeah, I definitely like that we're getting a lot more of that world as well.
but it feels to me like it's connected. Like, that is the story now, as opposed to before it felt like that was just kind of like a little side thing.
Right.
You know, and here, like, them going to more Cairn, like it, or Cairn Morn, is definitely not more Karen. No, it's like, it feels like that's going to be a big part of the story, not like it's some little thing. So I feel like we're a little bit less into the short stories. Like, the first episode did have a little bit of a short story feel, but it felt like we're on the way, you know, it's a side quest on the way to a very specific destination. And so I feel like I'm hoping, and it feels like this season might have a little bit more coherence, cohesiveness than season 1 did.
Yeah, I hope they just keep us in the same timeline. Like, let's not jump around.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's not jump around. Let's have two storylines. Like, to me, the thing that would make me seriously roll my eyes is if Geralt and Cirilla get separated, and so now we have them as two different storylines.
Right,
It's
right.
like, let's just keep these two.
Yeah.
Eventually, at some point, I assume all three are going to, come back together.
They could split up for, in an episode or something, but
Sure.
not just like totally bifurcate the plot.
Yeah.
More chaos theory. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm so confused about where we leave Yennefer at the end of this episode, at the second episode. I'm just not,
Right.
she's running through the woods,
Right.
she's screaming and putting her hand out because she doesn't have her magic. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm very confused.
Oh, I think she clearly hasn't had her magic since she, cast enhanced fireball, and and she basically, it seems like the other mages actually incinerated themselves to use fire. She maybe used up all of her internal, chaos magic or whatever, and now maybe it'll regenerate. Maybe it's one of those bars that just very gradually refills, right? But we'll see. I liked that they showed Geralt using magic more.
When he did the sword?
Yeah.
Oh,
that was so
that was
good.
so
Yeah.
cool.
That was so good.
And animation spoilers, Vesemir uses a lot of magic in that, and it's cool looking.
Nice.
And I was like, I hope that they introduce that, and I think they gradually will here.
He did it to
Or
calm the
Geralt
horse
used one
down
more.
too, which I
Right,
thought was cool.
exactly.
It was
Right.
very Aragorn of him.
Yes.
He mentioned that as a specific kind. It's like Axie or Axley or something like that. Like the kind
Yeah,
of magic
there was
he
a
used.
word. I don't remember the
Yeah.
word. I have to watch it more than that. Or they have to say the word more.
I also liked with Geralt and the magic side of it. You could see this happen in season 1, but I don't think they made it as explicit with him explaining it. But the fact that like he takes this elixir and that sort of turns him into the sort of like black-eyed, black-veined kind of like the battle mode that he goes into.
I always
Yeah,
thought
it's like
that
a
just
combat
happened
potion.
when like
Yeah, me
monsters
too. I
were
didn't-
around.
Right.
I didn't connect it, but yeah, it's and it's interesting because like these books were books. I think for many, especially in the United States, like we discovered these stories through the video games, and I know that's one thing. Like the elixirs and the potions are a big part of the video games, and so it's kind of fun just seeing that like in those specific stark terms.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think the author wrote like 14 short stories and then 5 novels.
Well,
Right?
Sounds
It was like a bunch of short stories and then finally started doing novels. I didn't get the elixir thing at all in season 1. The animation might feature that more heavily, but then going back and watching those recaps of season 1, which I did find very helpful in terms of remembering not everything, but a fair amount. The episode with in the very first scene, he's like that, right?
Right.
And that was a conscious choice to like show him starting that way. But then in the Striga episode, you can see he takes something and then he's like that. But it really escaped my notice in the first view run through.
Right.
You know? And it's much more explicit, and I don't know. I just find it easier to follow overall now.
Yeah.
As a series.
Yeah.
I definitely liked that with Yennefer. I mean, it felt kind of ridiculous that she gets captured by Fringilla, and Fringilla now, she's also kind of on the outs from what's left of the army, I guess, because the idea is that she feels that she's going to be blamed for their failure.
Right.
And one thing I noticed is Fringilla has both of her hands are fully healed again. Did we see? I thought my impression is that in season 1, once we see her with the Nilfgaardians, they kind of never actually show us her hand to see if it's healed from being withered. Do you remember, was it healed in season 1, or is that new that it's fine in season 2?
I only remember her hand being burned up when she was training. I don't remember it being burned up past that.
Right.
I have no recollection.
Yeah. I'm liking getting to see more of her story as well, because, I think we talked about this, the Nilfgaardian thing. There's an interesting story there, I think, about the person who, feels the most sort of aggrieved by this witching school. She gets sent to the Nilfgaardians. She wants to totally change the idea of magic and all that. But it felt so rushed. And I really liked her and Yennefer getting to talk about how the two of them both obviously had horrible experiences at this school, but then went in very different directions based on it.
Yeah. Oof. They did kind of follow... Did Fringilla, they did kind of both go against the wizarding world. So they do have that in common.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, when she's like, would you have me go against the people I was stationed? It's like, yeah, but you already went against, what the wizarding world wanted, right? So it's not that big of a stretch. Like, she's now found this faith of theirs, basically, and kind of gone with that. But, will that stick? I don't know.
No, she already left to go with the elves, right?
Right, yeah. Well, she left to go with the elves because Baba Yaga convinced...
Told her to.
Yeah, her and the elf lady, team up and, kill these other humans, basically.
It was elf lady's name was long.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe you remembered her brother's name. Good on you.
Oh, Phil Evangel?
Phil Evangel. That sounds like a music venue.
I thought...
In Philly?
I was trying to write down names as we went. I got a bunch of them. For the elf lady, I thought it was something something that sounded more like a name of someone I would meet in my own world. Like, not Francesca, but something like...
It was...
Yeah, I think it was Francesca.
What, is it just Francesca?
I think
There
it's
you
just
go. Okay.
Francesca, yeah.
All they brought back my Zelly Lape when she's doing the flower thing, and now everyone's just Zelly Lape.
Yeah.
right.
So what about there? What would you all think of the elves and how they came into the storyline?
Makes sense. I mean, the elves aren't fucking around. It looks like they're
Right.
back to try to take back their lands while everybody else is fighting, which is, battle-wise, the smart thing to do. Wait till your enemies are fighting each other and then come in and wreck house.
Yeah, I wasn't super clear on exactly whether they're more have like this kind of like military goal or whether they were excavating, right? They're like going around to these different sites and trying
Right.
to, you know, find, I guess, relics or some sort of way forward in terms of like, you know, not going extinct as a species, I guess, which seems to matter to some people, but. But yeah, I thought it was interesting also when Yennefer was like, I'm an elf, you know, and she's like, you're not an elf. Like,
Yeah, they're like, let's use the word half in there, sweetheart. But at least it did take them by surprise.
But like, not even just that. Like, she was like, I mean, yes, and I think she was quarter, right? Because she said her father was half elf.
Her father's
right?
half elf.
Okay.
But like, it wasn't even like you're not a pure elf. It was like you're culturally not an elf.
Yeah.
Is what it felt like to me. You know,
It's like, have you sang our songs?
Yeah,
Have
you
felt
don't sing our songs.
Yeah, it was
You don't
like
got our ears.
You grew up among, you know, the colonizers, basically.
Right.
And, you know, so you're not like one of us. And then Yennefer was kind of trying to prove to them, oh, I've heard that song. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know there were words, but like.
Yeah. And I really liked getting to see that. Again, it's the richness of this world that the elves aren't all like the same. You know that
Right.
Filavandrel, like he kind of had his perspective of like very anti-human, but kind of like separatist. Like we want to just leave us alone and let us
Right.
go off and do our thing. And now Francesco, I think is his sister. Is what
That's
I
what I
understood.
thought.
No,
yeah.
that other dude was her sister.
The
The dude who went. There were three of them that went down in the tunnel with
Yennefer and
Yennefer and Fringilla, and
Okay.
the kind of younger looking guy.
Huh.
okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I thought it was.
I think I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
It's like it's not just we were paying attention, folks. It's
Yeah,
a
we
Right.
swear.
confusing show.
It's a
There's
lot of
there's
information.
There's a lot of information.
Yeah.
It's a lot of new characters, especially
But I like-
episode 2.
Yeah,
I like that
well,
she's much more warlike. You know, she's just like, no, hang them. Let's just kill them right now.
Right.
Yeah, we'll
you
send
know?
their heads back. I was like,
Yeah.
damn. Okay. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
And so then we get to Baba Yaga, who I just love this first of all, just because I made a joke before, but I know about Baba Yaga primarily because she is a figure of like Russian and Polish and like Eastern European Slavic folklore. And thus, she's also a character in the role-playing game Vampire the Masquerade. She becomes a kind of like an important like figure in like what happened in Russia in Vampire
She's like a
time.
Methuselah, right? I think.
Yeah, she's the Niktuku. She's one of like the offshoots of the Nosferatu clan.
Right.
You guys throwing around a lot of names.
I know. We just talk about a world that has a lot of names that are hard to remember. but yeah, and because of that, like I did some learning about her there. I did some research into her, and I've seen her kind of pop up in a couple of other places. You know, in Ant-Man. I forget the name, but one of the members of his team, the Russian guy, like he mentions Baba Yaga. You know, it's like the thing that he's so afraid of, and so it was just kind of like, okay, yeah, this is based in like Slavic folklore, so of course Baba Yaga would be a figure there.
Yeah,
It's
like
cute
John
that
Wick.
they did it.
Wait.
Yeah, wait.
Yeah.
Right around Christmas, having like a little bit of a Baba Yaga thrown in there, because that's like her time.
And in our first, or I think in our first recap, I think I referred to the feeling as being a little Black Forest-ish, which I think is probably very culturally insensitive. And I apologize if anybody was offended, like, because the Black Forest is like in Germany, right? And I think specifically more Eastern Germany. And Germany and Poland, you know,
They have a history.
yeah, not a good one, right? Like in World War II. So, you know, I mean, a lot of people don't talk about, you know, the 6 million Poles who were, you know, murdered,
Yeah.
right? Half of whom were Jewish, right? But another half were just like, well, you're Slavic and we want your land. And so having, you know, it's the sort of representation that we maybe don't talk a lot about, but like there are a lot of ethnic groups amongst any given area, you know, or any larger group of people. And there definitely, I don't think, is a lot of Eastern European or Slavic kind of folklore represented in like more Western European or American cinema, I think. And so I think it's nice to see that.
Yeah, it really is. And I'll give a quick plug for Shadow and Bone, which the first season, which came out on Netflix. I think the second season's coming out hopefully soon, and the books are great. That is set in a very different world. It's like a more like steampunky 18th, 19th century world, but it's also very clearly based in kind of more Russian Slavic, but in Slavic Eastern European folklore. So just another kind of cool thing. Because, it's just, we've seen the English, French idea of like knights and castles so often. I still love it, but it's really nice seeing some different things here. We'll get to the vampire banshee that I'm guessing is a part of
the Bruxa.
Eastern European lore as well. So what is Baba Yaga? Is she right now just forgive the pun, an agent of chaos? Is she just like, do we have any idea what she wants?
Chaos. She just likes to stir shit up, it seemed like. I don't know what I honestly was very confused by that I have to watch it again. I was just like, she was letting them ask wishes or something?
Yeah.
Or their desires, or...
I think she was trying to manipulate their desires and get them to ask for something, basically.
Yeah, right.
And they would ask for that in exchange for, I don't know, maybe their souls. Who knows? We'll see. But, it seems like it's probably not going to be a good deal.
Yeah.
You know? And Fringilla and Francesca are like, yeah, cool, let's do it. And I'm not sure exactly what happened with Yennefer. Is that why she doesn't have her magic? She already didn't have her magic. She still doesn't have it, so maybe she refused her offer? Then how'd she end up in the woods? I don't know.
Everybody keeps passing out. That's what I
Right,
noticed.
lots of passing out, and then we'll pick it up later somewhere else.
Yeah. And I'm curious, especially if any of our listeners know, there's when they encounter Baba Yaga, it's like they come to this, old house that kind of emerges and then basically overwhelms them. And I believe that is something about Baba Yaga that in the mythology she has she has her own witch hut that travels with her across the land.
We were supposed to cover it on L&L for a Halloween, and we might for Legends and Libations.
Oh,
and we might
cool.
We have it all written out. Jeff had his because I was doing the Bell Witch and he was doing Baba Yaga. So at some point we'll have to get to those.
Oh, cool. Well,
yeah.
If you do it in the next probably not a little while because the holidays and Spider-Man and everything. But I'd love to hear more about that because how tie-ins. I don't think we've seen the end of Baba Yaga.
No,
I do not either. No,
because she keeps coming into their dreams, and I wonder if Yennefer might have said something about the having a baby, and I wonder if they meet up with Cirilla and Geralt, and then she starts to come maybe for Cirilla. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
All right. So, should we jump over to Geralt and Cirilla's storyline?
Yeah.
Yes.
So not digging her eyebrows. I'll tell you that. Cirilla's eyebrows are a bit much.
Well, here's my question is, I'm not sure how old we are supposed to think she is, because in the first season, I certainly thought she was 13, 14. She's just becoming pubescent, but still a young girl.
Yeah.
Then they give us this bathtub scene that's very kind of she's naked in the bath. You don't see anything, and then it's her with a towel in kind of a suggestive way. And then her feet, they were shooting her in a way that I was please don't do this if this girl is 14. You're doing this in a way that's supposed to make me think she's 18, 19, she's an object of desire, and that's going to be a thing in the show. And I was that's not how you were. And maybe they just were we screwed up in season 1. This is what we wanted her to be. But it felt very different to me.
Yeah. And I thought she was getting peeped on by, I didn't know that was going to be Verena up in the rafters. I thought that was some guy. And I was like, ew, what are they doing? But, that was not the case.
Yeah, I agree that her age is kind of ambiguous. I'm not sure whether they really mentioned it at any point. But, I know the actress right now is 20 or so.
Okay.
But, I'll say, if the character is 13 or 14, within the context of the story,
18.
It's not... the character's supposed to be 18? Okay.
Oh, no, she's meant to be 13 and the actress is 18.
Oh.
So, yeah, she's definitely supposed to be 13 in the first season.
Right. In the first season, she was 18. Now she's 20, right? It's a couple of years between filming.
The actress, yeah.
Right.
I guess she's still supposed to be 14, 15?
Right. But so what I'm saying is, within the context of the story, I think her being, sexually desirable isn't, culturally, within the context of the story, is not out of place. Yeah. In terms of getting a view, being provocative towards viewers and taking an 18 or 20-year-old actress and having her represent like a 13 or 14-year-old, and then having that, I don't know. Like, I can see it not feeling good.
Yeah.
I get that. I get that.
And like, that's not always a bad thing. Like, The Professional, aka Leon, is one of my favorite movies of all time. And part of it's because a very young Natalie Portman is playing a very sexually precocious character, and that's part of what makes her character so powerful, even though it's incredibly uncomfortable to watch. But here it didn't. It, like, to me, that like there's something that feels different about it, because this just felt like I just felt confused about what are you wanting me to think about this character.
Right. Yeah, I think she's. I mean, so Ashley, you said you actually have the fact, right? Like, the character's supposed to be 13. Or 14,
it says when Cirilla is meant to be 13 years old when she meets up with Geralt.
Right.
Yeah.
Geralt.
So.
I guess I didn't pay as much attention to that scene. I just thought she was like happy to have a bath. I wanted to have a bath at that point because I love tubs, and I imagined being cold and then having a dress. I didn't think they were too sexual about it. I thought they were just trying to show you that somebody was watching, and that's what took my attention. I was like, what is this? Ew.
Right. I had just had a bath, so I could relate well.
It
so I
just
was like,
looked relaxing.
Yeah, have you been showering in honor of our Bebop friends?
I did one time. Mostly I'm just more of a shower bath, because like, if you take the shower in the first place, then I don't think you need the shower after the bath that much. And if you use like the oils, you're supposed to kind of let it like stay on your skin, I think. But yes, in honor of the sad demise of
that was
Bebop.
quick.
Right.
I love that show. So annoyed about that.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
But I really liked with Gerald. I feel like his story is a little bit more episodic. That we have two kind of fairly contained stories.
Yeah.
And I loved both of them. Let's talk about this first one of Ninevellin. Where he meets his friend and like has a great connection with his friend, and they're talking about their past. But eventually, it comes out that like there's this creature and all that happens. I loved it, and for like, every time we'd seen him with another male figure, there was always some kind of like power dynamic there. Like, especially like he had, Yeskir the Bard. He never saw him as a peer. It was always like, this is like my kind of annoying, kind of lovable pet that's kind of jumping around with me. I loved seeing him with a peer, and just seeing the way they related to each other.
Did any of you watch Game of Thrones?
Yes, I watched all of it.
Did you recognize that guy who was playing his friend?
The voice was so familiar to me. I was having trouble placing it.
It's Tormund. I recognized it from his eyes.
That's what I thought. Okay, he looked a lot slighter, and he didn't have like the big red beard.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
I was excited to see him.
Yeah.
I really liked that whole story.
Nivellen?
Nivellen. Yeah. And I was trying to remember, like, did we see him in season 1? I guess not.
I had that in my notes too, but I guess then he was like, we haven't seen each other in 13 summers or some winters.
Which would have been around when the Geralt would have claimed the Law of Surprise.
That's true.
Right.
I didn't think about that.
But so I don't remember that with the Wyvern Cavern or whatever, but it sounded familiar. It felt, but I'm like, I guess there's a lot of like nests of creatures that witchers bewitching, not bewitch.
Just that little story of like cutting off the head, but like letting him claim credit to his father.
Right.
Like, to me, that felt so true to what I'm coming to learn about Gerald, and that it's like, he didn't make a big deal of it. But he's like, yeah, look, I don't care how many people this guy thinks I killed, and this can help. This can help you with your father a little bit. Why not?
Yeah, for sure. Was that the episode where Geralt said we kill to save lives, or that was that was at Kaer Morhen? Because it was like that.
No, it was the end of that episode when they were sitting around the fire.
It was? Okay, yeah. Because that's explaining, like, that's like what he did, It's like, well, I mean, he was kind of just going to kill her. But then at some point it seemed like maybe he wasn't. And then she, like, went for Cirilla, right? And then he was like, no, I'm going to cut your head off now.
Yeah.
And then in the next episode, the same thing happened, where he was kind of like maybe not trying to kill his friend. And then he was like, nope, you're going to kill someone. I'm going to kill you to save a life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. I feel that feels very superhero ethics-y.
Yeah, no, it really was, and I loved how we got into that. And I found the character of Nineveh like very much a tragic, like heartbreaking character, you know, because you know, and I want to get into like the her itself, the Bruxa, the Bruxa.
Yeah, the Bruxa.
But yeah, this idea that like he's been cursed, and he was cursed because he was kind of like a young party boy idiot. You know, and it's the kind of thing where like, okay, he did something stupid. The punishment feels a little more extreme than the crime.
Yeah.
Although honestly, the ability to be like, you should have pheasant. Here's pheasant. You know,
Right,
That was
right,
cool.
right.
as a host, I want those powers. I want to be able to be like vegan lasagna for everyone. Here you go. But yeah, and just this.
If it comes out of nowhere, it's all vegan. So,
right. And like,
sure.
just saying.
On some level, I sort of was like, because when she was actually going to kill Nineveh, she was like pulling herself forward on his spear when Geralt killed her. And he was at first heartbroken, and I had a moment to like, well, wait, why did maybe Geralt was wrong to kill her there? Yeah. If she's just feeding on him, but then when you realize that like, no, she's actually going out and like harming all the people in the town,
right?
Yeah.
Or the
and
people
he's
wandered
letting
in
that happen because of his love for her.
I don't think he really killed all of his house people. I think she did.
Right. Yeah, that seems
Oh
very
yeah,
likely.
I think it's a really good point actually.
For sure. I mean, it could be either, but
Yeah.
that was one of my first thoughts. Was like, oh yeah, she probably, that was probably her. Although, you know, talking about the punishment and the crime, like, first of all, he tells us the crime is like he desecrated a temple, right?
Right.
And it's like, well, it doesn't seem like you should be cursed for life. But then I was also like, well, if you get that kind of magic, like, I'll take tusks and magic, like, whatever.
He looked fine.
Right? Yeah, you could rock that look. But then at the end, he was like, oh, and by the way, I raped the priestess. And it's like, oh, okay.
There it
yeah,
is.
you're right.
Okay,
Yeah.
there it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, you weren't
no,
telling
thank you.
us the whole
I've
story.
forgotten that part. Yeah, that makes it much more like, yeah, okay, this feels
Okay,
more.
you deserve it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Although, like, why do you get all this magic with it? Like,
Right?
It's not that bad a curse. Like, I'll live alone in a house and just be like,
Yeah,
fresh
exactly.
direct. You know?
Be able to play like drinking. By the way, that's a great drinking game. Like,
right.
like you throw a knife, you drink, you just tell the truth. Like I was like, okay, that's a fun one.
Yeah. Cheater.
Yeah. Actually, though, I wanted to ask you, what'd you think of Vampire Banshee Lady?
I liked her. I thought she was cool. I liked how
Right?
she had that moment
Yeah,
with
me too.
Cirilla where she's like, you know, he's going to kill you too, girl. Don't you worry. I know that you're something. Because he doesn't know that. I would think that he saw her mother do that magic scream shit.
Mm-hmm.
So he probably knows that she's something because he keeps saying, like, I don't know what she is.
Right.
Right.
But I don't know. I was on the fence with whether Verena or whatever the vampire bat's name was going to kill that guy because she was telling him, I love you, and that broke the curse. So it was very confusing, right?
Right, and she'd been killing him every day. He said, I tried to off myself, basically, but I just keep coming back, like Hulk style, right?
So it was like the perfect relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If she just weren't eating townspeople, it would be, you know, it would be like, yeah, okay, you do you.
Yeah.
And it's funny because this theme of who is the real monster is clearly going to continue to be a theme, but I don't feel like it's being overdone. You know, it feels like they're finding new ways to explore it. You're right, very like the ethics of it is so interesting. And I loved her line of monsters do bad things to people, humans do bad things to everyone.
Yeah, it's great.
You know, because we're like, it hit me so hard. Like, yeah, that's this whole story
true.
in some ways is like, which is the more evil? You know, the individual raving monster or just these societies that are horrific and awful and imperialist and racist and, you know, killing off all the elves and whatever else they're doing.
I had forgotten that the spheres, I guess, which are supposed to be realms or like they had a multiverse.
Yeah, there's Midgard, there's Asgard, there's
and then they all
Nilfgaard.
smashed together, and then that's where all the monsters came from. Like I feel like they summed it up in this one better than they tried to do in any episode in the first one because I was like, oh, that's where all the monsters came from.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. I get it.
Yeah.
But it was like it took them 5 minutes to explain it to me in this one, where I feel like they tried to do it a couple times in season 1, and it was just like, whew.
Yeah.
I agree. I feel like the show's hitting its stride, you know, like in terms of just narratively on a sort of per episode basis, but also in terms of, I mean, because just season 1, it felt like they were, they had 3 stories all the time that they were trying to tell, right? And that's a lot, especially when they're all in different time zones, right? Time parts of the timeline. And like it here, it just feels like, okay, things are kind of making sense. Even if I don't know everything, I feel like I have a basic framework upon which to lie. I get a fact, okay, I know where that goes. Not like I get a fact, what am I supposed to do with this fact, you know?
Yeah.
I'm gesturing a lot with my hands. And
It's a really good way to put it.
And he was talking, Nefelfin was talking to Geralt about anytime that they would bring children back to where the Witchers hang out, that they would turn them into Witchers by giving them the herbs. And I was like, yes, please. I would like to very much do that, please.
Would you like some more information on that process
as
it plays out in the animated movie?
Yes. Oh, is it bad?
It's not good.
Yeah.
Like, they give the herbs to, like, 20 kids and send them out to go fight monsters, and they see who comes back. And the rest are dead. So, it's like they don't teach you a whole bunch, and then you're a Witcher. It's like, they're like, all right, let's see who survives. We'll make you a Witcher. I mean, they do some teaching, and then some, like, let's see if you get killed, and then some more teaching.
Am I making it up, or in the first one did they say that there were no female Witchers?
I think they said that.
They said that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They think talked about it's like a brotherhood thing.
Yeah. I mean, there clearly aren't that we've seen, right?
Right.
So far.
Right.
Yeah, they're very uncomfortable with Cirilla being there.
Right.
Yeah.
Clearly, I think probably not till 2022 because we have a lot going on already and we need some holiday time breaks. But I think at some point we should come back and do the Witcher animated movie. It sounds like there's a really rich story with
you guys have
fun
fun with that.
Yeah, it's a story I think you would like a lot, Matthew, and one that I think, Ashley, you would like if it were live action.
I would like to hear about it.
Sure, yeah. We could
good.
do an episode where the three of us do an episode and we talk, and you're
Just
like,
tell
wait,
me.
what happens here? We'll be like, okay, this is what happens.
Maybe we can rope in one of the
sometimes
Animation
good.
Liberation guys. Because I think they have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
So, cool. And one other thing about the Nineveh story that I want to mention, because again, that same theme, he at one point says, monsters are born of deeds done, not just claws and teeth.
Right.
Which I really, again, love. This idea of, like, are you a monster because of what you are or because of what you do?
It's what I do. What? Oh,
Yeah.
that's Batman.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So then let's get just something for me to look. I wanted to look up later Bruxa because I thought like the feeding on blood was interesting. The Banshee I think is very much of an Irish kind of thing, but like the song weapon she had, I just thought that I've seen that effect done so badly. Like even in Suicide Squad, even in Birds of Prey, I love the actress who's playing Black Canary. I didn't think that effect was very well done. I thought just the way it was done, how it affected him, and just all the like seeing this gorgeous girl who's very much she looks like an innocent, and then seeing like all his teeth, it just was like, oof.
I looked it up and it's just like how to kill a Bruxa boss guide. I'm like, oh, that's for the video game.
Right.
I like that. All right, so then we get Geralt goes to what's the name of the place, Paul? Kaer Morhen, which so the Witchers go there for the winter. Is that do all the monsters just hibernate for the winter? Does no one get in any trouble? Like
didn't they say something about that, or was that in the animation that I watched like 2 minutes of a minute ago? Anyway, the monsters generally do go into hibernation.
Okay.
And there's at some point someone's talking about it being weird that the monsters didn't go into hibernation.
So the Witchers
oh yeah, no, you're right. They did mention that. Yeah.
They get like winters off to go back to their spa castle
it's like
and just
the
chill.
Opposite of being a teacher.
That's cool.
Yeah. Take a hot bath.
Just hang out.
Just hang out.
Get a bunch of whores to come hang out. Apparently.
Although usually not, right?
Right. It didn't seem like the whores were usually
it was
allowed
like,
there.
You're not supposed to be here. Yeah. That's a summer activity.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was great seeing them all together. I was so braced for them to all start fighting immediately, and because he's come across other Witchers and not always had the best relationships with them, like out in the field. I think again, this is part of maybe what I missed in season 1. People just were allowed to get along with each other. Like even in Evelyn, like they had to kind of have this like sad moment at the end. Where, I mean, they're really kind of like, they won't even kill him. And they're just like, you're mortal. You can die. We're just going to ride away from you. But, like, still, they had a real bond before then. And, and yeah, with the Witchers, like, yeah, he's kind of not on the same side as this Eskiel guy. They fight some and like clearly he's got a much bigger problem later. But like it was just I
Much
really
bigger
got a
problem.
sense of the brotherhood from all of them that I really loved.
Yeah, it was nice.
For
It
sure.
was nice.
Yeah, I was wondering kind of what both of your impressions of Vesemir were, because I had seen a whole movie where he's the protagonist with an English accent, and then here he has like a Danish accent. But okay, not a big deal. Different media, you know. Did that character, how did that character feel to you? Not having a previous,
Right.
you know.
He seemed like a good guy, like a father kind of figure, like someone to go to advice for. But that I didn't get too much, you know. I don't trust anybody.
Right, of course.
That's fair.
Of course.
That's fair.
Why would you?
Yeah, I definitely got a sense of like that he was like a a worthy figure, like a worthy kind of mentor, but also like the whole process is kind of screwed up. And but I like the story about like that it was just him and a whole bunch of orphans. I think the thing that I also got from him is that there's kind of just sense of weariness, because at first when when all the sex workers are there and like they're partying and Geralt's like, this is not what you're supposed to be doing here. To me, he felt like the guy who like has given up on trying to enforce curfew on his kids, because he just knows they won't listen to him. Yeah. And so to me, that statement with him and the conversation with him and Geralt about like, do you know what you're getting into taking care of Cirilla? Yeah. And him being like, well, you didn't know. Didn't everything turn out okay? And I he hasn't quite spoken, but I feel like his reaction is like, I don't know if it did come out okay.
Right,
like,
right.
Yeah, they're never going to listen. Yeah.
Right.
Kids are never going to listen to you.
Yeah. It's interesting because, he's definitely not that kind of like father figure in the first one, but you can kind of see his character develop. I mean, in the first one, in the animation. Mm-hmm. Whereas here, he talks about sort of being a reluctant, sort of like father figure, right? And that's exactly what Geralt is, right? It's not like something he really wanted to choose. He was like, I'll take the law of surprise. Ah, fuck.
He's like, I told you that it wasn't a good idea.
Exactly.
And again, just kind of going against expectations, I was convinced he was going to die when they were fighting the tree monster.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I was very, very glad that he didn't die. And to me, that says that, he will probably go back to him for advice at some point with Cirilla.
Yeah, I think so. I think the next episode, they might
still be
there.
It's training montage time.
Yeah, exactly. So first of all, it's training montage time. Absolutely. That I don't know why that was so hard to say. But also, like, Geralt was like, usually, I thought you would be safe here, but now it's clear that nowhere's safe. And so I feel a little bit like there might be some bad thing happening there again. Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe they'll do a little training and go along their way. I don't know, but...
Do we know how many episodes are there?
8.
All right. I really don't need another episode with them all being... Like, I hate them being separated again, like him and Yennefer. Like, they need to get together, like, sooner. It better not be at, like, the 6th episode. I'll be furious.
Did
you watch ahead?
No, I didn't. I deliberately only watched these 2, but I would not be too optimistic.
I'm not.
That they're going to meet up really quickly. I think that's something to maybe prepare to be frustrated over. Similarly, like I'm like, Vesemir feels like exactly the sort of character you kill off in episode 7 or 8 of season 2. I hope not. I actually enjoy the character. But like we'll see. I was glad that they didn't bump him off like right there. Yeah. I didn't think they would, though. But part of that's because I knew that they put a lot of effort into kind of developing the character's backstory. And I feel like you want to get more than one episode out of someone if you do that.
100%.
The other Witcher turning into like a Trent or an Ent or like
that
a giant
crazy.
Fucking tree.
What the hell was that?
What? It was a Leshen.
So you can get infected by the trees, I guess.
Apparently. Yeah. But they said like that's not possible. It's like, well, I guess it is now. Yeah. There might have been some people who fucked around with monsters and made different types of monsters.
True.
And maybe that's a thing that's ongoing and really shouldn't be.
Yeah. Well, one thing we've seen is also like you can create a monster with a curse that's different than I think these like things where the dimensions happen. And To me, what I went to is in the Star Wars novels, they've introduced characters called the Drengir, who are like one of the main like things they're fighting against in the High Republic days. So that's totally what I saw. There's also some kind of joke that needs to be made about getting wood.
I think they made it.
Yeah, I mean, pretty well.
Totally made it.
But yeah, I like that.
Was
I like
some big wood though.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of like, and here again, there's a couple of trope moments they didn't do that I appreciated because like when all the women who were there, all were like, we're not gonna wait, we're just gonna go off and like hide by ourselves. Like I've seen horror movies, they were all going to die. I know they were all going to die, and they didn't. And I was like, that's kind of nice. Okay,
I like that they fight, we run.
Yeah. Lee literally said, wait, they didn't all get killed?
Right? It was like
and I was like, I feel you.
The trope
I really
that didn't
thought
bark.
they would.
If there was only one more monster
That's a
there,
tree
they would have
pun.
all been dead.
Yeah.
They didn't get barked? Or, no, I don't know.
No.
No.
You're not stiffs yet. No, you gotta
Oh.
stop.
All right, there we go.
But
I opened a door.
You would make that joke.
Yeah.
Stop making me laugh.
I don't know. It's a show that seems like about being like a surrogate dad. It feels like
some dad humor is necessary. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Such as it is.
I was gonna say that Geralt won't
very...
feel like he's truly like the father figure until he makes a dad joke, but I can't imagine that character making a dad joke and it not feeling utterly and totally wrong.
Did you guys
know.
notice
Now
how
I'm
they really made his eyes like really cool this season, like especially in like really dark scenes, they just amber glow through. I was like, ooh, really cool.
Yeah,
I really appreciated that.
I mean, because especially like wearing contacts like those is probably very uncomfortable to like be acting all the time that way. So respect to the commitment.
Yeah, I mean, I thought everything about he looks fantastic. He it carries it so well. Everything I'm loving about Henry Cavill's performance here.
Speaking of which, I have a note, and it says, when the Leshen appeared, or when they heard the sounds, smelled fart, can't unsee it.
Yes! He's like...
I was like, Ashley!
He's like, I call this face, smells fart.
Yes.
It was,
yeah.
Every time you have to write it down, smells fart face.
So on that highly academic note, is there any other last things we want to bring up about these episodes?
I don't have anything really specific. Overall, I liked it. It feels a little Mandalorian to me now. It's like
quests.
I think it's fair.
We've got some side quests. We got a little bit more of a main quest. We have the child
who has power,
who has some sort of power, right? And other people are going to be after her at some point.
That was actually the other thing I was going to bring up. I found Cirilla to be an interesting character this time around.
Yes,
she's not the whiny child. I think it's part of it's because she works better as a foil. Yeah. Like she's someone who he can teach things to, but also she has questions, and she has like. I thought the scene between her and the Brooks was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And
I like her.
She
not her eyebrows.
Not her eyebrows. She still feels like entitled to me, and like, but that makes sense. Like she grew up a frickin' princess.
Yeah, I'm Princess Cirilla of Who Cares. You know?
Yeah, right. But like exactly. But like I also like that she's just like very not afraid. Yeah. It feels like she's walked through the fire basically and like literally split the earth between her and someone else and like is now like, I'll deal with whatever's coming.
Yeah. Do we have any idea what she is? Like, have we had any kind of clue why her and her mother were so powerful?
I think they were witches. They were
just witches.
They have magic of some kind.
I think it's more than that. I think it's going to be some kind of chosen one-ish trope or like some, something to do with the convergence or something. It feels like it's more than just, the rest of the mages.
It seemed like the bat vampire had some kind of that screaming thing, or was that just supposed to be bat sonar kind of screaming?
No, that was like
that was the voice.
Yeah. That was what's her name? That was like very Black Canary.
Yeah, like the banshee kind of power.
And Cirilla can do that, right?
She
has some kind of scream thing.
I thought with Cirilla it was more that like when she screams, she releases her anger, and it's like
and that's
anger.
what it was. Because the mom did it too.
that's why I think it's more like what Yennefer is. Like
Okay.
that kind of,
Right.
and I
right.
I agree with
But
you.
maybe
I
it's some of
want to
both.
see I want to see Geralt and Yennefer on screen again together. Gerald.
Geralt.
Girl?
You-
God, I don't even know.
It's
You
okay.
just uncorrected yourself.
I want to see Dark
Incorrect.
Universe Superman with Yennefer on screen again. What I think will happen is we'll have some episode where they meet up, they work together, they have tensions, they still can't make this work, but Cirilla goes with her for a while.
I would
I
love
can see
that.
that.
So
I guess
think
we
definitely
didn't
have-
mention that he thinks that she's dead.
Yes.
Right. That's true.
So he's
Yeah.
going to be so happy to see her.
Right.
And
She's
gonna
going to be like, it's
"Eh."
magic, bitch. Get away from me.
Yeah, well, especially because I think whatever we're going to learn about Cirilla and her mother, to me, it's not coincidental that, like, we have this story about how humans stole magic from the elves, and now we have these two very magical people who are both in the bloodline of the royal family that probably was one of the worst in terms of, like,
Right.
all the awful things they did
Most
to the elves.
genocidal.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like the elves aren't going to really be super down with Ciri.
yeah.
No, God, no.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll definitely be a part of what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Well, awesome. Thank you both so much for doing this. You know, I know we're definitely gonna make sure we cover all the rest of the episodes of The Witcher. As both me and Ashley talked about, there's a lot of content coming out. Plus, there's a lot of holiday stuff coming out. So I'm not gonna promise when we're gonna do what, but we're definitely gonna try and get it to you when we can. You know, I think by the end of the year, probably we'll have had all the episodes out, but we'll see. But
I'm pretty
you know,
open next week.
yeah, the days of Netflix drops 8 episodes, and so we record, you know, one every. Not of the holidays, not with anything else going on. That's just not a possibility. But we all are doing a lot of other stuff. So, Ashley, you're kind of all over Pandaverse these days. Where else are you? What are you doing these days?
If you haven't seen the new Spider-Man yet, I highly recommend listening to our Bingers coverage of all 5 of the different Spider-Man movies, the Raimi ones, and then the Amazing Spider-Man. And then if you did see it, we just dropped our reaction cast on the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. Go check it out. And we have Boba Fett coming up.
Yeah, Boba Fett will be on the Star Wars Universe podcast. I'm really excited to have Ashley and hopefully Paul for some of that as well. That'll be fun. Paul, what about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I'd say I'm doing a lot right now. I'm basically icing my shoulder and doing physical therapy, but it seems to be getting better, so I will be streaming and posting videos and such again under the Zen Madman alias
Awesome.
sooner or later.
Awesome. Well,
And in the interim, watching 4 seasons of Knight Rider on Netflix.
Ta-da.
all right. Well,
So good.
Maybe I will get into that. We can do some ethics of talking cars
Sure.
and stuff like that. One thing I know most about the original show is that the actor who does the voice of Kit was
Yeah.
also the actor who played John Adams in the movie musical 1776.
Oh, wow.
Who I think goes on to be like the principal of a school in the Boy Meets World show. But I don't know anything about
Okay.
it.
Too many
He's got a
that's 6 degrees of separation I don't know anything about.
very, very recognizable voice. Anyway, so thank you all for listening. Would love to hear your thoughts. The one nice thing about us having a little bit of a time in between these episodes is if you want to send in your own thoughts. Again, please label it with like
Episodes.
thoughts about episode 1 or 2, episodes 3 or 4, so I know when to read it or not to read it. You can send it to theethicalpanda@gmail.com. You can also find us on Facebook or Twitter by looking for The Ethical Panda, or go to the website, theethicalpanda.com. These episodes will probably go. I think I'm just going to keep putting them out on both Superhero Ethics and on PandaVision once I can be able to get back into PandaVision, assuming I am. But of course, the PandaVision, that's part of the Stranded Panda family of podcasts. Please check out all the other great podcasts that are happening there. The MCU cast. I listened to your reaction to Spider-Man, and Mary and I finished watching the other Tom Holland movies at like 10 o'clock last night, and we're like, do you want to? We have tickets from Monday because we didn't want to go to a theater that was going to be crowded, but I noticed there were some theaters that had like 11:30 showings that were pretty empty. Do you want to just go now? And we were just like, sure, let's just go now.
Go.
And like listening to your reaction cast on the drive home was just fantastic. I had so much joy about that movie, but also so much that I felt like I wasn't just getting. It was like getting to hear excited fans, but also getting to hear who were picking up on so many great things. And I love the MCU cast, but that was one of my favorite examples of why like watching something and then hearing you all talk about it is so good.
That's so awesome. Thank you. We've been getting a lot of people saying that
Awesome.
and I'm very proud of how I was so sick and I was like, push it down, put it forward, let's do this, because
thank
it
God.
was great.
I'm really glad you did that. I think we're having so much fun on the Hawkeye casts over on also on the that's also on MCU cast. Check all that out. Check out all the great things on Bingers on Pandavision. We'll soon be coming to you with so much more content, and most importantly, have a great day.
Bye.